approved, at least our sources are telling us, and the Security Council is hoping that it'll be approved by tomorrow afternoon. What these sources have been telling us over the last couple of days is they really wanted to get something done in the Security Council because of a lot of criticism over the past couple of days, because their first action after the violence in Libya really escalated was a press statement, just a simple press statement that came out on Tuesday. So they've really been pushing to get something through, and a resolution sounds like it's probably going to pass tomorrow, which might, in normal terms, sound to be pretty slow even at that, because it's taken several days, but in UN terms, it's going through pretty quickly.
Well, Scott, in spite of the fact that this might be a long time in coming, these sanctions that the United Nations wants to impose in Libya, what are they really expecting from the Libyan leader? I mean, it's one thing imposing sanctions, but what are they asking him to do? What do they want?
Yeah, and it's interesting because Secretary General Ban Ki-moon had a press conference just after his briefing to the Security Council, and I addressed that exact question to him. I made it even a little bit more specific. I thought because he was very impassioned in his speech as well, saying that it's an urgent time. Loss of time means loss of life, and I asked him specifically. Okay, so that means loss of time means loss of life. Will sanctions do that? Will embargoes do that? Will travel freezes do that? Asset freezes, travel bans do that? Should there be military intervention? And he deferred that to the Security Council and said that there are a wide range of options on the table, so it's up to them to decide. But what we're hearing, there aren't going to be any military actions in this resolution. It sounds like what might happen is that might have to be done by coalitions or other countries maybe doing that together. But right now we know in this resolution that's most likely going to pass the Security Council tomorrow, there is no military intervention in that or a mention of a no-fly zone.
All right, thanks, Scott. Scott Heidler there at UN headquarters in New York. We can now talk to Marie Al-Bejou, a political activist who joins us on the phone from Benghazi in Libya. Ms. Al-Bejou, thanks for joining us. We're now hearing about sanctions that are going to be imposed by the United Nations. Washington says it's on board with those sanctions, and the European Union also agreed to that set of sanctions and will make a final decision next week. What do you make of that?
I'm just wondering how many more children have to die before they really take a real action. I mean, what's a travel ban or weapon sanctions or freezing assets? I mean, man, that's not going to affect Gaddafi it's not going to stop us from killing young children. It's not going to stop them from killing us. I just want, we are really disappointed. We want him to take, we're expecting the United Nations to take a real action. I mean, Gaddafi has no leader to represent us. That's what we're expecting. We're expecting him to step down. We're expecting them to say, now, stop this and step down. Let the people leave. That's what we're expecting. We're very, very disappointing.
But do you realistically...
You hear the Libyan ambassador was pleading for the United Nations to take an action.
Okay, so but do you realistically expect Colonel Gaddafi, after 42 years in Libya, to step down now?
Well, no, we're not expecting him that. He clearly said it. His son said it. He said, either we live or we die. And he's going to kill everybody before he steps down or let us leave. And this is the thing. This is the message we want to get through to the United Nations. This guy is not going to stop. He's never going to stop. 42 years, and he's still going to kill us. We need a real action. We need the United Nations to take an action to say this guy has no legality to represent us. And this is what we want. We Libya, that's what we want. We want to hear from the United Nations. We don't want them to condemn or stop the arm embargo. I mean, there's a black market for the arm embargo. Freezing assets, he has plenty of dollars in the stores. That's not going to affect him. That's not going to stop him from killing more younger children.
Now, we're hearing from Colonel Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, in an interview. He was talking about negotiations, talking about coming to some kind of a ceasefire with the protesters and negotiating a way to the future.
There is no negotiation with him. We don't trust him. 42 years, we just had enough. He killed thousands, and we're still expecting us to negotiate with them. What to negotiate? And who is he to say that? To negotiate? Who is he? He has no... He's Gaddafi's son. That's all what he is.
So what is the security... Okay, apologies, we appeared... Okay. Sir,
could you
so
please
what
repeat
is?
again?
Yeah, let me just repeat that question. What is the security situation right now where you are? Is it stable?
In Benghazi, it's very stable. It's more stable than ever. It's really safe. Kids are in the streets, women are walking in the streets. There is no violence, there is no killing. We are free.
And
We
this,
just like our hearts are bleeding for Tripoli. Our prayers and our hearts bleeding for Tripoli. But we've been through it, and just with a little patience, they're gonna get there as well.
okay, and okay, so we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, let's go to the United Kingdom now. Ahmed Ramadan is a British Libyan doctor who's just returned to England from Tripoli. He joins us live from Sheffield in the United Kingdom. Thanks for joining us. So what was the situation like in Tripoli when you left?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. The situation was becoming dire, really. I mean, it was chaotic. People were afraid. There was a lot of tension, a lot of stress. People were dying every night. I think it became incredibly dangerous for anyone really to stay there. It's a very sad state for the country to be in.
Give us an idea of what it was like on the streets of Tripoli. Are these the places where most of the violence took place?
Yeah, the streets of Tripoli since the very first, protesters came out on Saturday have been very quiet during the day. Not many shops are opening. The roads are mostly deserted. They're full of security forces, armed security forces. At night, all you can hear is gunshots, and it's becoming more intense every night as it goes on. In the last couple of nights before I came, I can hear explosions at a distance, infrequent, but definitely there. I mean, on the day that I left, which was the Thursday, for the very first time I can hear continuous gunshots during the day, first thing in the morning, and that kind of brought it home that this country is going through a time in history that can define its future, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a doctor, as I said, and I coincidentally was in one of the hospitals in Tripoli on Sunday morning, Markaz Tarablus al-Tibbi, or Tripoli Medical Institute, on Sunday morning, visiting a relative, and the reports were that all the patients, all the surgical patients were given, all the patients in fact were given some hypnotics and sedatives to help them sleep during the night, and all non-critical surgical inpatients were discharged. I went to see a very close friend of mine in that hospital, who told me that overnight there was 14 fatalities. You've got to keep in mind that this hospital isn't the major A&E and trauma department. There are two others in Tripoli that are the major A&E departments. He said that there were reports of at least between 50 and 70 deaths. Since Sunday, they haven't allowed anybody to enter hospitals without ID badges showing that they work there. But I have a couple of contacts in some other hospitals, namely Abu Slim and Shah Zawiya, and they were saying that pro-government supporters were going in at night, threatening doctors, holding them at gunpoint, asking them, basically forcing them to treat pro-government supporters before they treat protesters. There are cases where blood bags are being ripped, and to stop transfusions for anti-government protesters. There are reports that corpses are taken out of hospital before being identified and not being returned. There are rumours circulating about what's been going on with the corpses. Some say that they're being burnt, and some say that they're being buried or thrown in the sea. There's also eyewitness reports that ambulances are being stopped that are carrying injured anti-government protesters by the government militia, right. And these people are being killed before they even get to hospital. I think what we're seeing here in Tripoli is a crime against humanity, and I think as an international community, I think we've been very slow to do anything about it. I mean, only time will tell about, you know, eventually all these atrocities will come out and we'll have a clearer idea. There's another two things that I would really like to emphasize, really. Firstly is that everybody I have spoken to in Tripoli, whether they are from the east, from the south or west of Libya, none of them want Libya to divide. Everybody wants one united country. And if you look at the slogans that are being shouted in Tripoli and in Benghazi, that's very evident. And another point is that there is no Islamic extremism that I have encountered at all in Tripoli. Everybody I have spoken to, family, friends, say that all they want is the right to elect their own government. They want a free, democratic government that is tolerant, that is secular. Nobody wants Islamic extremism. I know that Gaddafi has talked about Al-Qaeda being behind what's been going on in Libya. But I assure you that these are people who
we're going to have to leave it there, sir. We've
enough.
run out of time. That's Dr. Ahmed Ramadan talking to us from the British city of
Thank you very
Sheffield.
much. Thank you for the opportunity.
We are going to take a short break right now, but still to come on Al Jazeera, the mass exodus. We'll get the latest from Malta, where a ferry carrying foreigners has finally arrived.
As the dry condition extends over Amritsar, we'll find the right flavor to tempt your palate.
Well, across the United States, we did see some tornadic activity from Thursday evening until Friday. That's all due to a cold front that pushed through. You can see it right here on the satellite image. Cold air behind, very warm air ahead of the system. That's where we saw the clash of air masses. Now, as we go into Saturday, we're finally going to see a break there. That is going to be moving out into the Atlantic, but the big picture is going to be what's happening here in California. An area low pressure is going to be dropping down the coast and bringing quite substantial rains to parts of Los Angeles. Now, in the foothills of Los Angeles, that's where we can see some mudslides in the region. Very susceptible to mudslides. Not a lot of vegetation there because of the wildfires, but up to the north, we're going to see some great snow for the last part of the ski season. A little bit further down toward the south, towards Costa Rica, as well as Guatemala and Panama, we're going to be seeing some very heavy rain showers over the next couple of days. They had a break in the forecast at the beginning of the week, but now the rain is back. Also in Venezuela, Caracas, you're going to be seeing some very heavy rain showers at about 20